the relation with graph technology, graph database technology, it's finally given us a way to explicitly represent all the connections between data. And actually, if you take a look at what Tim Berners-Lee was hoping with the semantic web, was making those semantic connections. So graph itself is actually, we finally found a way to persist this, to instantiate this, as opposed to writing lengthy documents.
Right.
And it also provides a mechanism by which this can be updated, because I think a key problem, a key limitation of all the approaches that we've had in the past, it's not that they were wrong, it's that they were static, because that was the technology that we had at the time. A database can be updated. Additionally, with AI, and we'll start with just machine learning. Machine learning can start to discover the patterns on which data is being consumed. And the fact is that this can scale the efforts of the best human modeler. In terms of, we can get, humans can probably get an 80% idea in terms of, the 80-20 rule. 20% of the flows account for 80% of how we're using data, but it's the other 20%. And it's the exception conditions. The exception conditions that, for instance, that process modeling, BPM, could never capture, that data models could never capture. But we see these exceptions, and machine learning can discover that and help us, and help us show, like, this is actually really how this information is being consumed, and for what processes and under what scenarios. So, I mean, it's never going to be perfect, but it's going to be a heck of a lot more reliable than a static snapshot. So that's a couple of things that haven't even gotten to generative AI yet. And generative AI, provides a couple of key advantages. One, of course, is that it provides, a natural language interface. It provides a way of basically being able to converse with your data. And I like to use the metaphor of how Captain James T. Kirk on Starship Enterprise communicated with his data. And I'm not talking about, actually Lieutenant Data was the next generation, but with data on his computer. Let's put it that way. I don't want to mix metaphors there. But the other thing is that it also brings unstructured data, into all this. And we briefly looked at this during the era of big data, but big data is really more about variably structured data. But here with generative, we can actually find, and basically we can introspect all that unstructured, whether it be text, image, audio. There's so many things that are accessible to us that we can now mine and basically understand what's being used, why it is, and all that sort of wonderful stuff.